Okay, so this PowerPoint is about figurative language. We will see this in pretty much everything that we read. We use it daily in our lives, probably more than you guys realize. So let's just go ahead and click through this PowerPoint together, and we will learn all about figurative language and how we are going to use it in our class. Okay, so figurative language is language that is intended to create an image, association, or other effects in the mind of the reader. So figurative language obviously is not literal, it goes beyond the literal meaning. So we're going to think about exaggerations, comparisons, things like that. So we're going to start with a simile, and all of you probably know what a simile is. It's a comparison made using the words like or as. So think something like as high as the clouds, fly like an eagle, any kind of comparison made like that. Pretty much something that we use all the time. Now a metaphor is very similar to a simile, that rhymed, but also very different. A metaphor is a comparison. It's usually an exaggeration, but there is no use of like or as, which is what lends itself to the exaggeration part of it. So a heart of gold, America is a melting pot, really anything kind of like that that doesn't have that distinction of saying that it is like that. Now for a hyperbole is an extreme exaggeration. So anything like if you've ever heard somebody say, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. That obviously you're not going to eat a horse. It's not literal. So that's what a hyperbole is. Personification is something that we'll see in a lot of like children's books and things like that, where it gives lifelike qualities to objects that are not alive or maybe just not human, so things like plants and trees. So some examples are if you see something described as the floor whining or a tree groaning, things like that are personification because obviously they're not actually groaning or whining physically. Okay, moving on to an allusion. We make allusions all the time, just kind of assuming that people understand the reference that we're making. That's really all an allusion is. It's a hint, and it's sort of assumed that the reader will understand the reference. So usually it's to something that is popular or that is well known in a culture. So like saying that something is someone's kryptonite. If you don't really know a lot about Superman, you still can really get that reference. Maybe you don't, and then you're kind of lost as to what kryptonite is. But for the most part, it's kind of assumed that everybody will get that. Alliteration is a literary tool where multiple words in a row will start with the same letter. So I have kind of a silly example here. Blair the beagle barked boisterously at the baby's bouncing babbles. So alliteration with the letter B. I do a fun thing where when I name my cars, they have to have alliteration. So I've had Blair the bug. What did I just do? Technical difficulties there, guys. Sorry. But when I name my cars, they have to have alliteration. So I've had Blair the bug. My car now is Veronica the Versa. So just a fun little thing there. Onomatopoeia, fun word, very hard to spell, but it is when sound is conveyed in writing. So think like comic books, boom, crash, clang, bam. Anything like that is onomatopoeia. So you see that all the time. The next one is symbolism, and that's sort of all of this is kind of symbolism, but it's basically just the idea that things represent other things in literature. So the color red is often symbolic of rage or passion. The color blue is often symbolic of sadness. Different colors sort of tend to represent different things. A lot of times in literature you'll see a necklace being a symbol of something, or a personal belonging being a symbol of something much bigger in the grand scheme of things. And that is all we have for figurative language in this. We will be talking about this a lot more. These terms are very important, so definitely make sure that you remember them and that you can tell the difference between them. And I will leave you with that and move on to our next lesson on elements of a story.